I'm Presley Giles, Jr., and welcome to Priority Value Investments, also known as PVI4U.org, and we present Forward.
Forward, that's correct.
Okay. Forward, I'm the founder and CEO of Priority Value Investments, just to tell you just a little bit before we start introducing everybody, hear a little bit about what we're about first, because we're a nonprofit organization. We got our 501c3 on June 10th of 2020, right in the middle of the epidemic, which is a fun time to get something. And we had nowhere to turn. Nowhere to turn. Yeah. Myself and my business partner over there, Michael James, co-founder. We were like jumping up and down, and we were cheering. Oh, we got a 501c3.
Yes,
and we were calling people and telling people, hey, we want some money.
Everybody wants some money. You guys got some free money?
And nobody was there to answer the phone.
Right.
And we were like, well, where can we come down and talk to somebody? Maybe email somebody. Nobody wanted to talk to us. Nobody wanted to get close to us, And so, but the reason we started the nonprofit is because we had wanted to do a veterans community. That was our goal.
Yes,
we wanted to do a veterans community. We wanted to do it in the city of Prairie View, Texas, to help their economy,
tax base,
got to build it and build their
community
revenue up in that community.
Right.
But number one, we wanted to be able to help people who had trouble getting a home.
Right.
We wanted to be able to help people who had trouble. It wasn't just for veterans, with the overall idea, but it kind of became more about veterans because we talked to more veterans, and we begin to see a greater need.
Yes, a much need for veterans to utilize their benefits to obtain real estate home ownership. That's correct.
And so we sort of put everything all together, and that's how we came up with the project. And we're not talking about building homes, just like when we say a veterans community, we're not talking about, helping, it's the people that are, homeless or whatever, and they're needing a place to stay. That is so great when they're able to accomplish that. When they but we're talking about families.
Yes, we're talking
that
about
wanting
families.
to build a home. Correct. We're talking about people who young veterans that are coming back from, let's say, Afghanistan or whatever, and they want to build a family, and they have wife, kids, and everything like that, and they want to have a home that they can afford, to be able to move in and stay for a while,
to utilize the benefits that they actually earned serving our country.
Well, that too, but the main thing is being able to have them homes that they can afford. We have a rent to own program. There where they can be able to, if they can't get in, they going into banks, because I remember doing that, going into banks and saying, please help me, and they're saying, I'm sorry.
I'm so glad we have Matthew here.
Yeah,
Matthew Johnson to help us.
That's the reason we started the program, the nonprofit, to be able to help with those sort of things and help veterans get into homes. And so we have a very special guest here today, Matthew Johnson. Matthew Johnson is what's the company that you're with?
So I work with Mutual of Omaha.
Mutual of Omaha. Could you tell us a little bit, Matthew? I hate to jump right into it, but tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so first off, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a good opportunity. Anytime you can come on and talk to, like-minded individuals and, just celebrate the fact that people want to help veterans, right?
Yes.
That's the number one most important thing. I'm a veteran of the United States Navy myself. I did 20 years. I just retired in 2019. And coming out, one of my main goals was to just find ways that you could help veterans, right? They do a lot to prepare you in the military to do your job, and the missions that need to be accomplished, and everything you need to do to keep the country free. But the one thing that we could do a little bit better job of is kind of letting veterans know what opportunities or resources or community programs are out there for them to help them out, especially in the arena of owning a home. And so that's why I was excited to come on and talk to you guys about how, people can look into that, what they can do to get started there. And so, I've been in the real estate industry through being a realtor and now as a loan officer for about 2.5 years from retirement. So pretty familiar with how it goes, and just learned a lot about how veterans can qualify. And the biggest thing that we find is it's interesting to find how many veterans don't think they qualify for a loan, and they actually do. So many different, categories and service eras, basically, right? You got the Vietnam era, the Korean War era, then you have the Operation Enduring Freedom, and then you have the most recent Afghanistan, Iraq, right? So there's different criteria for each. But in the last couple years, albeit when the pandemic started, a lot of that stuff changed.
Oh, it did.
And so the requirements and people that didn't think they were eligible for a VA home loan are now eligible. And it's great to see someone's face when you're like, well, you actually qualify. And, all of us old crusty vets, right? We're like, no, somebody told me I don't. So they believe it. And then once you show them they do, it's a game changer. Just to see their reaction, there's nothing like it.
And I went into real estate, and I got, unfortunately, as a veteran, a hard money loan to do real estate. But, I wish, as a veteran, I had known about all these changes made and more opportunities, because I could have went a different route with my real estate, possibly with getting veteran loans, maybe getting a house, and then, living in it for, living in it and stuff, and obtaining home ownership.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the biggest key about the VA loan program for a veteran is that program is designed for you to have a primary residence.
Right.
It's the VA's backing of you to own a home that you can live in, right?
Yeah.
So the VA's not looking to give, veterans loans to invest, right? They want you to live in that home. It needs to be your homestead. It's where your family can be. It's where you feel safe, right? And so that's the big priority behind that. And it's just great to show people that a lot of times they qualify.
And priority value, that's one of our main objectives, is for veterans to act on their veterans benefits so they can achieve home ownership, through real estate loans and stuff, and education, like you said. And then that also strengthens the communities they live in, creating a robust tax base, and it also gives back to community. So that's one thing I like about what we're going to be discussing today.
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
Well, hey, I do have, like what we hoping to do is see we're starting from the ground up. We're still in the process of trying to pull ourselves together. We're still needing board members. We're still needing all those other things, to be able to help us
help the veterans,
get up off the ground. We need help ourselves. we're in a position where we need help ourselves. First
we need help ourselves to help veterans and communities.
But once we see, it's like we have, let's say, a 5-year goal.
Yes.
5-year goal. I want to be able to have that community.
Sure.
I want to be able to have houses, nice little houses with little fences around it, and little kids running around and playing and getting to know each other, in a safe environment. And we're not talking about luxury homes, we're just talking about HUD qualified homes that people can grow and learn and say, well, this is our first home.
Our safe communities.
This is our first home, and we can be able to help them get in there. We're willing to work with them, find, people like Matt come along and be able to help them get into a home that they can afford. Not just a home, but you don't want to bog them down with debt and everything like that, with a huge mortgage and all that kind of stuff. We want to try and avoid that if we can. But if they can just get their foot in the door of that house, of their own house, that's kind of like what we want to be able to do, and then allow them to grow.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
That's what I like, and I'm so glad that Matt is here. And I guess so. I just want to give a little background information on Matt, if that's
Well, Matt did a great job, and he talked to one of the things I did have to look up because I didn't know what is that the
CBs.
I didn't know what that was.
they construct things, right? Is that correct?
Yep. Navy construction. So that's the group of sailors that we call them. We're called dirt sailors.
Dirt sailors.
Right?
Okay.
There's no road that you can put on a ship, right? So CBs a lot of times are they're encamped or they're stationed with or they work right alongside the Marine Corps because we do a lot of they do a lot of their forward movement, right? Setting up bases, getting things set up and ready to go. They do a lot of humanitarian work through construction. But CBs are basically what you see driving around Houston. You go into a subdivision and see a house being built. CBs can do that 100% from the ground up. Rapid runway repair. They do convoys. They're a security force, basically, but they do a lot of construction, and so they do a vast amount of construction all over the world just to do humanitarian projects in other countries and community projects and bases where they're close. And, you know, I was an equipment operator, so I got paid in the Navy to break stuff. My parents would have never let me do that when I was a kid, right? And so when I get in the Navy, I'm running all this equipment. You know, I'm paid to do it, and it was great.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot of great skills from that you know help you going forward, right?
Wow. You know? Thinking of going forward. I like
CBs, construction.
That. Construction, okay. Well, I think that's great because with that background, you have a lot of knowledge, you know, housing, construction, real estate, you know, so you add a little more expertise in certain areas of home ownership and everything using your information you obtained from the Navy, which I think is great. You know, when I was in the Marine Corps, we had a lot of Navy people. We had some Navy people beside us, and they were mostly corpsmen. But I believe we did have some CBs on our base at Camp Pendleton. Yep. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Matt, I have a question for you. Now, let's say that there's a young family who comes to you. He or she is just out of the military, you know, and she says, I want to use my military benefits to get a home. What are the steps that you usually
have? I mean, the first step that you want to take with a veteran that's looking to get qualified to purchase a home is make sure they're eligible for the benefit, right? So
what are those eligibility requirements?
So, I mean, you have to do the right amount of time in service. So depending on what era that you served in, there's a whole bunch of different eras where, you know, most recently, let's say you were in the Army National Guard and you were deployed for 90 days outside of the United States, right? You went on a deployment. They would be eligible for a loan.
They'd be eligible.
Otherwise, you'd have to do 6 full years in the reserves, right? You'd have to have good drill time. And so what we do is we'll run a check in the VA system and see if the veteran's certificate of eligibility shows up. If not, then we gather some documents. We need to be able to help them send that up and then verify that they're qualified. So the first thing you ever want to do if you're looking to purchase a home on a VA is you always want to make sure that you have a certificate of eligibility. That is very, very important because, you know, let's say you were a reservist that, you know, unfortunately you didn't have the full 6 years and you've gone through the entire process to purchase a home on a VA and you find out at the end that you're not eligible. Well, that's going to cost you a lot of money, right? So we encourage every veteran, like, talk to us or talk to whoever you're talking to, make sure they've pulled your eligibility. Make sure that you're eligible for that loan.
And of course, at Priority Value Investments, we can also help any veteran obtain their certificate of eligibility. And I also believe that usually there's an office at the VA hospital or a VA where they actually have where you can go and obtain a certificate of eligibility. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to the local VA. You can go onto a lot of veterans now use Mill Connect, or they're using their benefit portal. right? Where you go in and look for your, let's say you get a service connected rating, and that's where you check your eligibility for your funds that come from the VA, or your education benefit for post 9/11. If you're using that to go to college, that's the same place that you can check on your eligibility for a VA loan, right?
Okay.
Ours is a little bit different because we are able to go in and we just put some basic information about the veteran in there, and then it pulls it up for us right away. It's just a different way to get in there.
Now you discussed eligibility for reservists. I believe that's what you said.
Sure.
Now, what about for people who actually active duty and then veterans people? So what are the criteria for that?
So that's what I mean. If you're a veteran, it depends on the era that you're in. But I mean, general rule, you have to have an honorable discharge or a general discharge, right? You cannot have a dishonorable.
Right.
You can't have an OTH. You can have a bad conduct, right? So you have to have the right discharge, which means you had to have served your country properly and got out with the proper discharge.
Right.
And then you have to serve the proper amount of time. And so it depends on when you were in and when you got out. And so that's why case by case on the veterans, we look that information up for them and let them know, like, this is how much time you would need, or we need these documents to prove that when we go to pull their certificate. 90% of the time, the certificate of eligibility comes up instantaneously if they're eligible.
Now,
there's some cases it doesn't.
Now, what about people who, is there a general under honorable conditions that discharge, or?
I mean, there's a lot of the discharges out there.
Okay.
The main thing that we're going to make sure is that you did the correct amount of time.
Correct amount of time.
And you got the correct discharge, meaning you served your country the right way, is what we say.
Right. Okay.
And so if they ever have a question about whether or not they're eligible based off their discharge code,
Right.
we always like to talk to them individually.
Okay.
You know, like in that private manner, and say, hey, let's send me your information. We'll look it up, and then we can work through them with their like that. So we don't ever like to categorize it in any one given way, because people a lot of times get out of the military for a lot of different reasons. You know, it could be a family issue, it could be medical issue, it could be reshaping of the force, like downside. There's a whole bunch of different reasons that you would get out. So we just verify that, right? We'll take a look at it. We'll send up the proper information, and then we get it back from the VA. It normally takes, 2-3 days.
So then, that would be step one.
Yeah, step one is to make sure you're eligible. And then the other part of that is, everybody that wants to buy a house needs to borrow money. So you would just fill out an application. And once you fill that out, whoever you fill the application out with, they'll kind of work through that with you.
Now, when you say fill out an application, where do you go to fill this application? Do you have to go to the veterans office, or do you go to a bank? Where do you go to fill out? You say you need an application. So
right. So that's a great question. Yeah. So the VA, when you purchase a home, the VA is basically your guarantor, right?
Correct.
So the VA is going to back the veteran for 25% of that home. Okay?
25%.
Right.
Okay.
So the reason you don't pay private mortgage insurance on a VA loan is because the VA is backing you, right? So
let me get this straight. So veterans, when they go using their VA benefits, do not have to pay
mortgage insurance.
A mortgage insurance. That's very important for that's I'm sure a benefit that civilians would love.
For sure, absolutely. If you can
advantage of that,
borrow money and not pay private mortgage insurance or mortgage insurance premiums, it's great. So the VA is backing you that 25%, right? Okay. So that means
that's substantial.
They're backing you there. So the VA is the they got your back, right?
Yeah, right.
But no matter where you want to purchase a home, the VA doesn't lend money. So that's another. People think the VA give you the money to buy the house, right? Like the VA holds the mortgage loan. Whatever bank or lender or whoever you go through, right? There's a million different companies, right? And there's a million different ways to figure out how you qualify or what they can do for you. So basically you pick whatever provider it is that you would like to use. You talk to them. They send you through their process. I don't know everybody's, but there's a basic process to apply. Like you give them certain information, and then they kind of put it together and tell you. So you find out if you're eligible, and then you apply through. The bank's going to loan the money. All the VA is saying is, we know that the veteran served the proper time, they served their time correctly, and they're eligible for this benefit, so we've got this certificate. That certificate is what you use to show that you can do the VA loan.
You can do the VA loan. And so, let's say a veteran who's looking to, become a homeowner, they'll first get their certificate of eligibility, then they'll go to their bank or credit union possibly.
Bank, credit union, mortgage lender, whoever they want to apply to purchase a home through.
Purchase a home to. And I guess it would behoove or be a great advantage to the veteran to shop around to see what financial institution offers the best, rates and stuff like that too. So I guess I wonder if there's I have to look into that, or if what are the best banks or locations for veterans to go to, or they need to do a little more research on that.
I mean, veterans, anybody. I mean, you can take any consumer. It doesn't matter if it's a veteran. It doesn't matter if it's a normal consumer looking to purchase a home.
Right.
Every consumer is going to have their threshold for what is the best deal for them. Right?
Got you.
So all three of us in here, my priorities could be different than yours and different.
Right.
And so you're going to find the best deal for you. Some people have, family long friends that do this, or there's a whole bunch of different people that can do it for you, right?
Yes.
Without getting directly into any specific person, right?
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of opportunities out there.
I see.
So what you do is you just research it. With all the laws on lending now, when a veteran goes to purchase a home, or anybody goes to purchase a home,
right,
and they start that process, you have about a 30 to 40 day window where you could talk to multiple people and see who can do the best for you, right?
Oh, okay. All
so
right.
you can, because of the laws, talk to a few different people, right? And whoever that is whoever you choose.
Right.
It doesn't have to be one specific person. So there's not, I mean, I can't tell you that there's the best one, right? Because each person is going to decide that on their own.
Has their own, I guess, like a jigsaw puzzle to figure out what's exactly
for sure.
I got a question for you. Now I know that a lot of them they say, well, there's a certain credit score that you have to have in order to be able to get a loan from a lot of these places.
I've heard about that.
Like 650, at least 650 or 675. Is there like an average or anything as far as a credit score goes?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in order to purchase a house, you got to have credit, right? Well, that's just like who's the best lender for you, right?
Right. That's good.
When you try to figure out who the best lender is, it may be the service they give you. It may be the quality of whatever it is they're doing for you, right?
Right.
It's kind of the same. Like every time you go to talk to someone to borrow money, like the investors that you work with, they have different criteria they go by. So the threshold for credit could be different between everybody. One person might have one score that they want you to have, and another company might have another one. So it just really depends on who you're talking to, and that's where that 30 to 40 day time period comes into shop, right? So maybe someone says that you have to have a higher score, but then another company can do it for you that's a little bit lower, right? So it's all about who you talk to and how you do your homework there.
Well, see, the reason I asked that is because I know when we were trying to get a loan, for example, people said, well, you have to have at least, for a small business loan, for example, you have to have at least
650 or 600.
I think it was a little over 6, like 619 or something like that. Credit score. And so it did, but there's no kind of regulation, or it's kind of just up to whichever institute.
Yeah, it's up to the lending institution.
Right.
Like where I've worked and where I've worked with people in the past, like right now, like we can do 620. If you have a 620, we can look at it, and that's kind of where we would want to see people. There's other people that might be higher. There's people that may advertise lower, but the lower you go, the more requirement, and just the more requirements you would have, right? Because it makes you a larger or smaller risk, right? So, 600 and above, I guess. It just depends on in your situation where you're at. And then too, with like a lot of young families, like, have you been preparing for home ownership, right?
Right.
There is something to preparing to do that.
Right.
Do you have any suggestions to prepare for someone who wants to obtain home ownership?
Sure.
What would those suggestions be?
I think the biggest thing that you can pursue is to anyone, but especially young people, young sailors, young Marines, young airmen, right? They come into the military, they travel all over the world. What do they want to do when they travel the world? See all the sights, hang out.
Yeah,
they want to make memories, right?
That's correct.
Well,
Experiences.
it would be great for their leadership, which I'd seen in the Navy on my tail end. They started to do a lot of this to encourage those same young military members to start to save money, right? Like save some money, invest in your TSP account, put some money towards your retirement, because at some point you're going to want to purchase a home. Don't go buy the $90,000 car just because you can afford it, right? Like kind of set yourself up, because I think a lot of times people think that, like I can afford it, go get it. Well, when you're really young, that sounds great.
Right.
But don't live outside of your means, live within them. As where we're at in our age, we've learned that, right?
Yes.
I don't know about you guys, but I learned it the hard way.
I've learned it a little bit myself,
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of, that going in. I got out of my house. And I was like, I'm on my own.
On my own. I can spend what I want to spend. I got all this money, I'm going to spend the way I want to spend it. And and when you first, you get out there, you see the world, you first get out from your parents' home and you're in the military, and it's like college students and stuff. You have all this money, and so you say, I just want to it's like it's burning a hole in your pocket. I just want to spend it. But the smart, safe thing to do is to put it in a bank or build credit very wisely. They increase your credit score so that you get a better rate, interest and better opportunities and to spend your money more wisely. If you don't spend all your money right away, you put it in a bank and you spend it wisely. And I think that was kind of like my regret. Well, it was a regret of my friends. I was a saver, but a lot of my friends, in the Marine Corps, when we were at Camp Pendleton in Oceanside, they wanted to buy those fancy cars. I was like, oh my gosh, very impressive. They got a lot of, but
you can't go to the beach in a beater. It's got to be a nice car, man.
It's got to be a nice car. But now, they probably feel a little regret that they didn't. Who knows? But it's always better to save your money.
Okay, now I have another question for you.
Sure.
Now let's say that two people meet in the military, and they decide to get married. Are they able to combine any of those benefits?
So that's a great question.
Yeah.
So I'll answer that question and give you the reverse of that as well, right?
Okay.
So two members that are married and both in the military, 100% eligible for a VA loan. The way that it works, though, is the spouses will split the entitlement down the middle, right? So the VA is going to go, okay, half of your entitlement is going to go into the loan and half of your entitlement. Because what they want is both people to have a vested interest into it. They're not just going to use one certificate of eligibility for it. Both parties are going to be equal in there. Much like the same thing, like as young soldiers, sailors, Marines, right? You all go out and you rent houses because you get your housing allowance because you made your E5 and all that stuff. Two veterans that live together that are not married can purchase a home together.
Oh,
they can both joint buy it because they both are eligible for a VA loan, right?
Oh, okay.
And if you're married, like I'm married, my wife was never in the military ever, but we're married. So now she's on my DEERS and she gets medical insurance from retirement, and like we're married, we're one in the eyes of the VA. So we're 100% for a VA loan. The only time that it becomes a sticky situation is if you have a veteran and he's got a fiance.
Okay.
Never been in the military.
Yes.
So the VA is going to tell you, yes, you can purchase a home. However, you're going to have to pay 12.5% of that 25% we're going to guarantee because you're not married, right?
Gotcha.
So if they're both military members, 100% can do a VA loan all day long as they qualify. If they're not married but both veterans, 100% can do it all day long. It could be a son and a father that want to purchase a home together because they're going to move into a place and, maybe, for whatever reason they're going to live together. As long as they're both veterans, you can do a VA loan, 100%. You can do a VA loan without being married, but then that means that some of that entitlement is going to have to be paid up front because one person's not a veteran, right? Or the other thing you can look at is, sometimes the veteran qualifies income-wise, right? Then the veteran can, if he can do it on his own, then he can purchase on his own. The only time that comes into play is if they absolutely both want to purchase, and that there's going to be a down payment.
And would both their names be on the deed?
If they're well, that's state dependent, right?
that's
like
state
Texas is a community property state.
Oh, okay.
So no matter what, if we just do the loan in the veteran's name or we make sure that this individual can purchase on their own, but they're married,
right?
Then the wife's name goes, or the husband's name, or the partner's name goes on the deed.
Is there a limit? Is you say 2? Can it be 3 or 4 veterans who want to purchase a house together? Or?
Yeah, if 3 people want to purchase together and the 3 of them want to go together to purchase a home and they all are veterans, they can purchase.
Okay.
It's kind of like if 3 or 4 friends want to purchase a house on a different type of loan that's not a VA loan.
Right.
Like if they all qualify income-wise and they all fill out the application, then they're all purchasing together. It can absolutely be done.
All right, because I know somebody's talked about a quadplex or something, so that's very interesting.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually a good one, Mike.
That
because
really
we did
is.
talk about that at one point, getting a quadplex or getting an apartment complex.
Right.
So for the VA, you can do up to a 4plex, right?
Up to
4-unit
4plex.
property.
Right.
So
for each person?
No. So if you're going to purchase a VA, you can buy a single family home, a duplex, a triplex, or a 4plex.
Oh, okay.
So the veteran has to occupy one of those, and they can rent the other 2 or other 1, 2, or 3 out, right?
I see.
So if 2 veterans are going to purchase a 4plex together,
Right.
then they both occupy each a unit. I mean, and if it's you and your spouse or partner or significant other, then they would both be in that one. But at least one unit has to be occupied by the veterans as a primary residence. And then the other 3 you can rent them out. A lot of those salty dogs out there that are a little bit more experienced in the military at high concentrated areas where the military at, whether it be like call it Fort Hood in Texas, in Killeen, huge military army town.
Yes.
People will buy 4plex units there. They've lived there 2 or 3 years, and then now they have that rent coming in consistently because who's going to rent that? Single soldiers when they're able to do it. It's just another way that they're able to invest in that, right? Because we talked about earlier, if you're young, don't buy the car, right? The car, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's going to depreciate. But what you should do is you should try to find a way to invest in real estate if you're able to, right? Buy a starter home.
Yes.
You don't have to buy a $500,000 house.
Right.
Buy a starter home. Keep that home as long as you can. Pay it as much as you can. And by the time, let's say you did 20 years in the military, you probably could have attained 1 or 2 properties that are paid off. And on top of military retirement, you're now getting rent from houses that you've invested in because you were smart with your money, right? Just like putting it into a bank, if you put it into a property, real estate is one of those things that appreciates.
That's correct.
You're always going to have value in a house.
Right.
Yeah,
We've seen a lot of that.
We've seen
in
that
the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Right?
I have another question too. Speaking of these benefits, how many times can a veteran use his or her benefits?
That's a great question. How many times do you think it is?
I'm going to, since I did go to the Veterans Real Estate Seminar you were at, that's where I met you, I think. You did a great presentation. And I want to thank Elizabeth Hurley and Dr. Dale at Work Life Institute for allowing veterans to utilize this resource. So I know the answer, but I want the audience to know. I know you can use it more than once.
Sure.
So can you expound more about that?
So, you can, as long as you're eligible for a VA loan and you're an eligible veteran, you can use it as many times as you want.
Now, a lot when I was, I met, my other veteran friends there, and we were all like, "What?" Because there's this myth or something out there that veterans can only use it one time.
Well, if you remember, like, let's take the Vietnam era, right? People got out of the military in the Vietnam era. They came back from Vietnam, and then they started purchasing homes. Well, back in that time, you used it once,
right,
and then you couldn't use it again.
Use it again.
In that era. Well, again, during this pandemic, the VA made a lot of changes to how that benefit works. And one of those changes is you can use it as many times as you want. And so that's why I'm telling, like, we go to VFWs and we talk to veterans everywhere. And a lot of those guys in those areas are like, I used it once, I can never use it again.
Right.
And we show them the proof source, right? We show them where that it shows that. And a lot of them are like, man, I had no idea. Well, I mean, things change all the time.
Those are really surprisers, shockers, because I would have to really get into really serious discussion and say, well, I went to that seminar at the Work-Life Institute, and I learned that, yes, you can use your benefits more than once. Are there any that you, off the top of your head, any other changes that you know that veterans would may be surprised to know that they have now these benefits?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's been a
I don't want to put you on the spot or nothing.
No, we're good. We can talk about this all day long. I love it.
Okay, great.
So the biggest thing is every time we turn around, I'm telling people the VA just made one of the biggest changes they've ever made to a VA loan, and everybody's like, again? Like, it's again. It is again.
I know, it's shocking.
So just like now you can use it as much as you want, you don't ever have to worry about it expiring, right? Again, as long as you purchase a home and let's say you sell a home and then now you want to purchase another one, can do that too. Well, here's another change. You can have more than one VA loan at a time. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, that's a surprise. That's a shocker because, like I said, we're like stunned. You can have more than one VA loan. Veterans, do you hear this? Go ahead, tell them.
Well, I mean, so the way that works is obviously, again, a VA loan is designed to be your primary residence. Well, while you're in the military, we all know what a life-changing event is, right? So that's PCS, retirement, separation. Maybe now you're married, or maybe you had another kid on the way, but oh my gosh, we're having twins. And we've only got a 3-bedroom house, right? So these things that are life-changing, you can do another one. But the other part of that, as long as you live in your house for a year, you're in that house for 1 year,
right?
You can go buy another one. But you have to occupy it for a year, right? The
VA
VA wants to make sure that that house is going to be your primary residence for a determined amount of time, and that you're not looking to go out there and buy investment properties, right? The VA wants it to be a primary residence. Well, the kicker with that, and the way that they I guess you call monitor that, right? Is you have what's called a county loan limit.
Okay.
So forever, when the VA loan first came out after World War II, the county loan limit was $36,000. Way back in World War II, that's what you could spend, right? $36,000 was your guarantee. Well, then when you take 36,000 times 4, it was like 144 and change. Like that was the house you could purchase for years.
For years.
Well, then again, recently, as we start to progress, like when we get into the pandemic, they made a change in during the pandemic time that nobody heard about, which is veterans are not capped now, right? You used to have to be within the county loan limit, right? So this year, the county loan limit went up almost $100,000. The county loan limit traditionally for most places in the country is $647,200. That's how much you can spend on a home, right? So let's say a veteran owns a home for $150,000. Well, you take 647 minus 150, and what's left over is the amount of money that the veteran can now purchase 100% financing and not pay the PMI and do a VA loan. Right? You can own, that's how you can own more than one.
Wow.
Now, when you own more than one, you already have an active VA loan, and you're going to purchase a home. If you go over that county loan limit, then you pay 25% of like the dollar amount you go over, right? So if you go over, let's say $10,000, you would have to pay $2,500 to the VA, because now that's 25% over what you're going over. So you would front that. The VA's, they got the rest, right? So that's how you look at that. But again, that's where when you talk to someone that like knows how to do the loan, they walk you through that, right? Because everybody's situation's different.
Yes, those are. Well, I just know those 2 or 3 different shockers to me. I mean, those are. I mean, for sure. Revolutionary. Yes. Oh. Okay.
Okay. No, we're real quick because we want to make sure we can get as much in as we can possibly get. Sure. Okay. Now I have a question. Now, what about down payments? Does the VA help in any way with that, or how does that work?
Good question.
So down payments for VA loans. There's a lot of people that think getting a VA loan means that you get a loan at 0 down. It's not true.
That's not
now,
true.
What is true is a VA loan is 100% financing. Right?
Okay.
So if the cost of your home is $100,000, if it's a first-time use of a VA loan, you pay a funding fee to the VA, 2.3%. Okay. And if it's your second-time use or more, it's 3.6%. Okay. That funding fee, you can roll into your loan. So that's why the VA loan is 0 money down. But a veteran is still going to have to pay property tax prorations, home insurance, and then, when you close a loan, the title company creates the deed, they search the title, all those services, appraisals, like those things have to be paid. You can't finance those. But the loan itself, the money you're going to borrow is 100% financing. So there's no down payment requirement for a VA loan. That's why they call it 100% financing. A lot of people take that as, why I got to put money down? Well, you don't. But you got to pay for all this work these people did to help you buy the house, right? Yeah.
And it's built into the
funding fee is correct. But then let's say there's X amount of dollars when you look at homeowners insurance, property taxes, title company fees, and other miscellaneous ones, $4,000 or $5,000, let's call it, that then you would pay that at closing. Yes. But anything that deals with how much money you're borrowing, you're getting 100%, and whatever the fee is gets rolled on top. And then one last point on that part, the way that the VA can help the veteran, or the veteran can get assistance there too, is if any veteran has a service-connected rating of 10% or more, which is the minimum, right? 10%. Right. You'll never pay a funding fee again in the rest of your life. So if you carry a service-connected disability and you get paid by the VA, you don't pay a funding fee. So if you're borrowing $100,000, you're borrowing $100,000, right? Wow. You're not paying that funding fee, but that's through a service-connected rating. One thing you guys could do to help people, especially with what you guys are jumping into, is as you talk to veterans that have an active VA loan, ask them. You have a service-connected rating. Did you pay a funding fee? And if they tell you that they paid a funding fee while they were buying their home, so they had a service-connected rating and then purchased the house and got charged a funding fee, they're entitled to a refund.
They're entitled to a refund. We're going to definitely look into that. I must tell you, with all these benefits and everything, if you don't join the service for patriotic reasons, you could join the service for the benefits you get in real estate and home ownership. Well, I'm loving
all
this.
of it. Real estate, home ownership, college benefits, medical and dental, like it's all there. But yeah.
It's always a good thing to serve your country.
What is a land board?
So the land board is unique to the state of Texas. Okay. The land board isn't nationwide. So the state of Texas has what's called the Texas Veterans Land Board.
I've heard of that.
I'm not an expert in it, but I know somebody who is. He'd probably be a really good guy, Anthony, that comes to a seminar we do.
Oh, that's right, Anthony.
Anthony Navarro. He works at the Veterans Land Board. So the Veterans Land Board is just a program in the state of Texas where veterans can go into their website and they have lots of land, acre minimum and higher. You can get them at auction. Oh, really? So you could buy land through the Veterans Land Board, and they work with people that can help the veterans when they purchase and stuff like that. But the Veterans Land Board is kind of like it's an entity that offers these auctions of land, and veterans get first look, and they get I guess you'd call priority bidding on these Like, it could be a foreclosure, it could be a short sale or something like that, or just even land that someone wants to sell. The land board can offer it to the veterans to take a look at before anybody else would have an opportunity.
Really? Wow. That's really, really
Now,
good.
if they have, what's the difference between a VA home inspection, appraisal, and a warrant, all that kind of good stuff compared to just a regular? Are they the same in any way, or are they different?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So, an appraisal you get on a home is an appraisal.
It's appraisal, correct.
Okay. So if you do a government loan, FHA, VA, USDA, they always check for safety, health, sanitary. They want to make sure the home is safe, right?
Right.
Right.
Appraisals on a conventional side do the same thing. A lot of people think that the VA appraisal is stringent and things like that. They're just looking for safety things. Like if it's a county code, especially like we're in Texas, right?
Yes.
So if you're going to buy in a place that has like a septic system and a well, like the VA wants you to have that tested. Is the water safe to drink? Can you consume it? Like if there's any problems, the VA expects that to be treated and cured before you move in, right? And those are inspections. The appraisal just tells you that the home is worth what you're purchasing it for, right? So when you look at a VA loan, it's a little different than other ones because like in Texas, specifically, you'll do a termite or a wood destroying organism inspection to make sure there's no termites in the home, no wood beetles, things like that. So if there's a problem, it has to be treated. The veteran can't move into the home if that issue's there because now that's a huge repair they may have to take on. We're putting him into a money pit, right? Again, like I said, wells, septic systems, those are the three main ones that if you're buying a property that has a well and a septic, it's going to get tested. But every single property that you'll do on a VA in Texas, some regions of the country are different, but it goes by region. You got to do that pest inspection to make sure there's no problems within the walls. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good.
Now, what if they get into the home and things are going well, blah, 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 you know, we're so happy, blah, blah, blah. And then a year or so, something happens, you know, financially, something kind of falls apart. You know,
Well,
is there any type of assistance for someone who has had that type of situation?
Yeah. So whenever you get into a point, and a lot of people had it during COVID, right? You had a lot of people that, I mean, they lost jobs and, you know, times were tough, right? It just was. Well, the best thing that you can do is reach out to like your logo, what they call regional loan center. So you can Google it and look it up. They can reach out to them. And when you call that number on the prompts, it says, if you're a veteran and you're having trouble making your payment, press 1. So you talk to them at the VA and then they can try to help you through it. And so things that they'll try to do is maybe a deferment, right? Or do a loan modification. So kind of like, if you're able to roll something back onto the other end, kind of figure out what the problem is. And then, you know, the last resort and sometimes people should think about is you need to contact a realtor. If you can see in the future as a veteran, when that time hits hard, that even when you come out of this, you're still going to struggle. Sometimes it's better to sell the house and go buy one that maybe downsize in one, get one that's a little bit less expensive, but do that before you're at that point of no return, right? Because, you know, and that's where you reach out to the real estate professionals that you know. Like, hey, this is my situation. How much could I get for my house? Can I walk away even? Or call a HUD office. HUD offices can help you do the same thing. Let's see where you're at. Let's do a budget. It's like we were in the military. Let's go ahead and do this financial counseling and see if we can help you out. Ask for the help as soon as you need it. That's the biggest key. Don't wait.
Right. Okay, now we got one more here,
Okay.
a little bit more here.
question.
Now let's say if you already own your home, you know, and it's paid for, all that kind of stuff. You've been there for 20, 30 years, but your pipes are leaking. Your roof is leaking. You know what I'm saying? You're having trouble. You need repairs.
Sure.
You're a veteran. You served your country. What kind of help does the Veterans Administration offer for that?
Well, I mean, in home ownership, if you own your home and it needs, like, the home's 30, 40 years old and, like, pipes need to be replaced, the roof needs to be fixed, that's routine maintenance, right, on your home. You're not necessarily going to get money from the VA to do that, but you do have options, right? I mean,
I've heard of home assistance programs.
Yeah, I mean, they have that, but you could look at,
Mm-hmm.
you own the home outright, look to do a cash out refinance on your home and see if you can take some of the money out of what the value of your home, use that money to upgrade your home, get a new roof, you know, upgrade a bathroom or something like that. You could do that. And then, that's the fastest way to do it. You could do like a line of credit on your house. Like there's ways that you can borrow that money to upgrade those things, because if they're just routine home maintenance,
Right.
you own the home, right? As a homeowner, you got to kind of take care of
So
it.
you can talk to the VA and say, well, hey, I want to get a loan on my home in order to be able to fix it up.
You would just
Could you
call
do that?
a mortgage lender
You
and
call
say,
a mortgage
hey,
lender.
I want to do a refinance and I want to take some cash out. And I want to be able to take that cash out, and I want to do it to be able to, you know, upgrade my house. I want a new kitchen. I want a new garage. I want a pool.
Yes.
If you got equity in your home, you can borrow against it. Do it. I've seen a lot of people during the COVID part. Cars are expensive. Kids are going to college.
Correct.
Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, divorces, things like that. Those people will borrow that money to send their kids to college. They'll put it against their house, right? They'll do a cash out. They'd rather pay a mortgage at whatever percentage you're going to get than have to worry about the kids with the whatever they're going to have to pay those student loans back, right? So the best thing you can do is just reach out to those professionals. Reach out to a mortgage lender, reach out to a realtor, reach out to an insurance agent. Maybe you could save money on your insurance. Or if it's a roof, what if there was a storm that you just were unaware of, and you might be able to do a claim on it and get the roof fixed.
And also there's other government agencies like the rural, there's a rural agencies that will assist homeowners with repairs. There's programs like that that we here at Priority Value are aware of as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can definitely help people out.
Okay, now let's say that veteran's out. He's had some problems, medical issues, and all of a sudden he or she doesn't have a home anymore. What kind of assistance is available to someone who doesn't have a home at all?
So I'm not a counselor in that fashion, but I do know that there is a program called a VASH program. I don't know if you guys ever heard that. That's a program. I would equivalent it to
VASH.
VASH. I would equivalent that's kind of the equivalent of Section 8, but for someone that's a veteran, right? So if they're in a stuck situation there is a program called VASH that they can apply for. And in a lot of cases, what you see there and what I've seen is veterans that were homeless veterans were able to use that program to get assistance to be able to find a rental, to be able to find a house, to be able to have a place to live. So it's really similar to like the HUD programs in order for you to help get some assistance for housing.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Well, do we have any more questions? I know.
Okay.
I mean, we could spend all day talking to this guy, Matthew. He's such a wealth of knowledge and stuff. I mean, oh my gosh, might have to pitch a tent in here or something, a mattress. But we only have so much time. But
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. I think we actually we went through a lot of it already.
Okay.
We want to thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
Because
welcome.
you are
Thank so
truly
much.
a
I appreciate
wealth
it.
of knowledge.
Thank you,
I really
Matthew
appreciate
Johnson.
it because
you came in, saved the day. I'm telling you, man. I mean, so many veterans are so appreciative. I know I am. I'm so glad that you're able to even come on the program. I want to thank you again so much, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, man.
And now, if someone wanted to be able to get in touch with you, how would they do that? Would someone be able to? Who would they contact?
I can give you my number. They can call me directly.
Well, you gave me your business card earlier. What I'll do is, if it's okay with you, is I'll get a photograph and we can put that on the thing, and
absolutely.
that way it'll show up in the podcast, in the video podcast.
Yep.
So that way they'd be able to get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Anytime.
And I appreciate that. That would
Any
be great.
any veteran anywhere, if they have a question or they need help or they want to get some advice, like you get them in touch with us and we'll take care of them.
And that'd be great. And of course, we're here at Priority Value Investments, and we want to help. We facilitate any type of need and help, and we definitely will we look forward to working with Matthew. Matthew's been outstanding and fantastic, and is a great help to veterans all around.
Yes. We'll get in touch with Matt.
Okay.
No, absolutely. Look, there's a lot you guys can do as well. Absolutely. Look, I appreciate it. It's been a good time.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So now there are a couple of things we need to sign it on. We got about 5 more minutes here that I wanted to wrap things up. We have there's some things that we still pulling together, as I mentioned earlier, that we need to get. We're still looking for board members. You know, we're still looking for strong supporters. Listen, I'm trying to look and read it without my glasses. I have my glasses on here. But yeah, we need looking for board members. We're looking for nonprofit contributors, donations, grant writers. We really need grant writers because I tried to write a grant. I'm not a grant writer. You know, that's one thing I learned.
Even though you are a writer,
I'm not that kind of a writer.
You write books and novels.
That's not the
grants.
same thing. And then they basically told me that.
Wow.
They said, "Nice try."
Yeah, they said, nice try.
But no, but that's what we need. We need grant writers. To be able to help us with some of this stuff. Can you think of anything else that I may have overlooked?
I know one of the things we're planning to do is to set up a GoFundMe page.
Yes, we are doing that.
And
yes,
we definitely want to set the GoFundMe, and we need all of your support in making that a much needed success.
And we'll keep you up to date with that because we actually have a meeting with someone next week about setting up a GoFundMe and be able to help us actually set it up correctly and have it be effective in getting us, the funds.
Of course,
that
we
need.
want to inspire our audience to visit our website, PVI4U.org, O-R-G, for more information, for anything you guys like to know about us, or how you can contribute to help us out, achieve our goals and going forward. And that website again is PVI, the numeral number 4, and then U.org.
Yes.
Okay.
And let's see now, we basically got everything out of the way. We'll be back next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Look forward to seeing everybody next week.
My name is Presley Giles. I'm the good-looking one. And then
well, wait a second now. My name is Mike James, and I'm the good-looking one.
And this is Matt.
That's Matt. Thank you, Matt, my man, right here.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
He's the knowledgeable one here.
Yeah, he's the one that knows more than we do.
Absolutely, and we're so glad to have him.
Come back anytime.
Thank you so much. All righty, we're going to wrap this up.
Yes.
We want to thank you so much.
And thank you for watching.
And thank you for watching, and thank you for doing all that good stuff. Thank you for being here. Hope you see us next week.
Yep. Thank you.